Before we start, thanks for stopping by. If you love emotional tales with hidden secrets, family drama, and surprising revelations, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Each tale we share proves that facing difficult truths can actually help us heal. Let's dive in. Certain nights feel completely normal until they suddenly split your world into two parts: what came before and everything after. This particular Tuesday started out routine. Raindrops softly hit the window as I prepared lunchboxes for the next day. Our TV played quietly in the next room, though nobody paid attention. My husband sat finishing some documents at the table, and my 14-year-old son, Noah, had gone straight to his bedroom after eating with just a quick smile and brief goodnight. Everything felt typical. What I didn't realize was that this night would teach me how the people closest to us sometimes carry enormous weight while pretending everything's perfect. I was rinsing our final dish when I caught it. Someone speaking. Initially, I figured Noah was gaming online with buddies through his headset. Kids do that constantly. I grinned and kept cleaning the counters. But then something felt off. Only one voice carried down the hall, Noah's. His tone sounded careful, uncertain, like he was responding to invisible questions. Interest pulled me toward the hallway. Everything seemed unusually calm. Each step I took sounded amplified. The rain outside had decreased to barely nothing. Standing outside his door, I lifted my hand to knock. Then I stopped cold. I can't keep faking this much longer. His voice broke. Everyone thinks I'm okay, but that's a lie. Fear ran through me. This wasn't typical teenage conversation. This was someone hiding something serious. I remained there frozen, caught between entering and leaving. Then he continued. What if they stop loving me when they know the truth? My chest hurt. Part of me wanted to burst through immediately, but another part understood he needed space. For what felt like forever, I stood paralyzed. Eventually, I knocked lightly. Complete silence followed. Seconds later, the door cracked open slightly. Noah stared at me with surprised, wide eyes. Mom. His tone shifted to calm now, suspiciously calm. The hurt I'd just heard disappeared behind a well-practiced expression. Is everything all right? I asked softly. He nodded fast. Yeah, just thinking out loud. It sounded memorized. Parents eventually learned to spot the difference between real happiness and manufactured versions designed to hide suffering. I made hot cocoa. I fibbed. Want some? His tension eased a bit. Sure, thanks. We settled together on his bed's edge. Warmth rose from our cups between us. Neither spoke right away. Sometimes staying quiet communicates more than asking questions. I glanced around his space. Pictures of our family still lined his shelves. Sports awards sat gathering dust next to comic book piles. Nothing looked out of place. Still, something felt different. Finally, I voiced the question building inside me since the hallway. Noah, is there something you think we can't handle hearing? He focused on his drink. Almost a full minute passed. When words finally came, they were whisper quiet. Do you ever think people only accept the easy parts of who you are? His question completely blindsided me. I didn't rush to respond. Instead, I let him keep going. Everyone assumes school's going great. He managed a weak chuckle. Good grades must mean everything's fine, right? He turned toward the window. But I feel like nobody really sees me. Those words shattered something in me. Not because they were overdramatic, because they were real. Parents focus so much energy, making sure kids have meals, clothing, education, celebrations, trips, and chances to succeed. Sometimes we forget the most basic question. How are things actually going for you? I gently placed my hand on his shoulder. Our love isn't something you need to earn. His eyes filled with tears. I understand that. No, I said quietly. I'm not sure you really do. He looked away. I've been acting for months now. Each word seemed heavier. I smile so nobody worries. I joke because it's simpler. I keep claiming I'm fine because that's what everyone expects. The room grew painfully still. Thunder rumbled somewhere distant. For the first time in months, my son wasn't performing behind good grades or polite responses. He was just being real. And honesty can be scary. I don't understand how to fix these feelings, he confessed. I just know I'm exhausted. Not from lack of sleep. Emotionally, The distinction was crystal clear. I pulled him into a hug. He didn't pull back. Actually, he held on tighter than he had since being a small child scared of storms. That hug stretched several minutes. We didn't sob loudly. Tears just quietly appeared. When he spoke again, he whispered something that transformed my entire view of being a parent. "I didn't need you to make everything better." He paused. "I just needed someone to actually see what was happening." Those words stuck with me long beyond that evening. Because sometimes the biggest act of caring isn't providing every solution. Sometimes it's just noticing before quiet isolation turns into real loneliness. What I didn't realize was that talk was just the start. The reality Noah had been holding on to wasn't only about his struggles. It involved our whole family. And before the week finished, one forgotten note tucked inside an old shoebox would expose a truth that had stayed hidden for almost 20 years. The following morning, our house appeared unchanged. Light poured through kitchen windows. The coffee maker made its usual sounds. Toast aroma filled the space, and my husband Daniel sat reading news on his phone like any regular day. But everything had shifted, at least for me. After what Noah shared the previous night, I kept hearing his words replay. "I didn't need you to make everything better. I just needed someone to actually see what was happening." Those words rang louder than any alarm. Noah came downstairs minutes later in his school sweatshirt. He smiled pleasantly, grabbed toast, and thanked me for breakfast. To most people, he appeared completely fine, but now I could see the effort behind that expression. I understood how often I'd confused quietness with contentment. As he walked toward our front door, I called out, "Hope you have a great day." He nodded. "I'll do my best. That wasn't what I expected." That's not what any parent hopes to hear. Once everyone left, the house felt too quiet. Usually I'd start chores right away, but instead, I wandered through our hallway thinking. Passing Noah's bedroom, I noticed the door slightly ajar. For a second, I paused. Every parent understands that weird tension. The struggle between honoring your kid's privacy and worrying that something critical is hidden from view. I wasn't hunting for secrets. I wanted understanding. Inside, everything looked tidy. His workspace was neat. Books sat in careful stacks. His guitar leaned in the corner near a bag full of assignments. Nothing screamed problems. Then I spotted a small wooden container pushed beneath the bed. It looked aged. Dust lined its surface like nobody had moved it in ages. I almost walked past. Then interest won. Pulling it into view, I saw it wasn't secured. Inside were photos, vintage birthday greetings, ticket stubs, sketches Noah created as a little kid. Everything seemed normal until I found an envelope tucked beneath everything. No postage, no mailing address, just one word across the front. "Dad." My pulse jumped. The writing wasn't Noah's. I stared at that envelope for several moments. Should I look inside? No, it obviously wasn't for me. I placed it back precisely where I discovered it. Some puzzles need patience. That evening, Noah came home looking drained. Rather than vanishing into his room, he sat with me while I cooked dinner. We didn't force conversation. After a while, he spoke. "Mom?" "Yes. Have you ever worried about telling Dad something?" The question caught me off guard. I considered carefully before responding. "Your father cares deeply." I smiled gently, but sometimes he has trouble expressing it the right way. Noah nodded like he'd already thought the same thing. "I don't want him disappointed. In me, he won't be. You can't guarantee that." His answer wasn't upset. It was fearful. Before I could say more, Daniel entered carrying shopping bags. Our conversation ended instantly. Noah put on another smile, another cover, another show. Later that night, after Noah headed upstairs, I shared everything with Daniel, not every single detail, just enough so he'd understand our son was struggling. Daniel listened carefully. When I stopped talking, he leaned back and exhaled. I assumed he was just going through typical teenager stuff. Same here. I've been focused on work so much lately. His voice faded. I completely missed this. Guilt showed in his expression. Not obvious guilt, the subtle kind that settles deep inside a parent. "We have to be there for him," I stated. Daniel agreed. "Absolutely." For the first time in weeks, we weren't talking about bills schedules, or household tasks. We were talking about our family. The following days moved slowly. Noah talked slightly more. He laughed here and there, but something still felt incomplete. It seemed like he'd only shown us the tip of what was really troubling him. Then Friday night came. I was sorting laundry when I heard talking in the garage. Daniel and Noah. They assumed I was out of earshot. I discovered the letter, Noah admitted. Silence. Which letter? Daniel asked carefully. The one Grandpa left before dying. My hands stopped moving. Grandpa. Daniel's father had died nearly 18 years ago. I shouldn't have opened it, Noah went on. But I did. More extended silence. When Daniel finally responded, his voice sounded altered, almost disturbed. You weren't supposed to learn about that yet. I wasn't planning to find it either. I stood completely frozen. Everything told me to leave, but every word drew me nearer. What's it talking about? Noah questioned. Daniel breathed slowly. It means our family has been hiding something for a really long time. My heartbeat sped up. Hiding something? Something nobody had ever mentioned. The garage opened before I could catch more. Daniel stepped in. The instant we made eye contact, I understood. He realized I'd heard enough to know something was seriously wrong. We need to discuss this, he said quietly. Not later. Tonight. I followed him into our living room. Noah came in moments after, still gripping the aged envelope in shaking hands. Daniel looked from me to our son, then back. There are things about our family history I've never shared with either of you. The room went dead silent. I believed I was keeping everyone safe. He looked down, but maybe I've only been keeping us distant. Nobody spoke. Nobody shifted. Finally, Daniel unfolded the fragile note. Its paper had turned yellow over time. The handwriting was shaky, written by someone who understood his remaining time was limited. Daniel's voice trembled as he started reading the opening line aloud. If you're reading this, then I waited too long to be honest with you. The room seemed to hold its breath, and right then, I understood Noah's pain wasn't the only secret about to surface. The past was finally reaching all of us.